Okay, so welcome everybody to today's press conference with Andrew Balbirnie. I'm Craig Easdown and I'll moderate the session. You're currently all on mute. If you want to ask a question, just use the raise hand feature on Zoom and I'll come to the next person. And just be ready to unmute when I ask you, when I call in your name. So we're going to start straight away if that's okay. And we'll start with Bernard Whelan. Bernard, let's unmute you.
Hi Craig, hi Andrew.
Hi Bernard.
How are you? Last Sunday's warm-up game against the Lions, things seemed to go well with the bat. I know players were retiring when they got to a certain score as well, but did you struggle a little with the ball?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, no, we certainly struggled with the ball. We didn't hit our straps, and the type of team that we were playing, anyone in this England one-day setup is going to put bad balls away, and then when they do that, they put your good balls away as well. So we were definitely under the cosh with the ball, but at least it's in the bank as such. We can certainly learn from that. I can learn from that as a captain. But in terms of the batting, I was pretty happy with the maybe first 40 overs, 44 overs, and then it kind of unraveled a bit, and we didn't get to I was looking at maybe 320, but we didn't really get to that, and that was disappointing. But it was a good run out for the batter. Some guys are in good form, and it was a good learning curve the whole day, I think.
What about the squad itself? I know you've Curtly Campbell and you've Harry Tector in there. Obviously, it's an exciting time for the new guys coming in along with the existing players. So it's going to be a good mix, but exciting to see these new guys coming along and a good opportunity for them.
Yeah, absolutely right. Look, it's been a competitive couple of weeks. The selectors sat down and they had a number of names that could have potentially been in the 14 who have all stood up. The net's been very competitive, which is what we asked for at the start. People have been pushing each other hard to get a place in the 14. There were a couple of tight calls, but you mentioned two there, Curtis and Harry. I think it's Harry's first time in the ODI squad. It's certainly Curtis's first time, and that's great to see. Harry's been in great form with the bat in both games that we've played and in the nets, and he's certainly ready for this stage. Curtis is obviously someone new to Irish cricket, but from what I've seen of him over the last 6 or 7 weeks now, because he was training with us in Dublin, he's been very impressive, and he's certainly given me a few bad nets, if you like. He's certainly a bowler who can hold the line and length and is aggressive, so he gives us something else in that squad. So look, it's exciting for them, but it's exciting for everyone involved just to be playing an ODI series during this sort of COVID time.
Yeah, and I mean, going back to the Lions game last weekend, we were speaking last week during the press conference about the whole, the extraordinary circumstances that everything is under, and in particular your preparation in the run-up to these games. Did you yourself personally or any of the other team experience any kind of difficulties with regards to fitness getting into the first competitive match for quite a while?
Yeah, certainly. I think 50 overs in the field, there's nothing that can really replicate that. You can do all the stuff at home, but to be standing around in the field and with an intensity of a one-day international for 3 hours, 3.5 hours, you can't sort of replicate that down the park or on a bike or with some sprints when we were obviously during lockdown. So it was great that we were able to do that in that sort of inter-squad game, and then get another sort of 35 overs under the belt in the Lions game. Cricket fitness is very specific, so for guys to spend time in the middle and for guys to get overs under their belt is crucial going into a series. And they're in the same boat. They've not played much cricket themselves. They're obviously very talented cricketers, but they haven't played a lot of cricket in the recent months. So I've no doubt they're feeling the same sort of aches and pains that we felt maybe after our first day out in the field last week.
Okay, we'll go to Ollie next. Ollie Thorpe.
Hi, Andrew. The biggest piece of news, I suppose, really from the squad announcement earlier on this morning was that Mark Adair is missing. We know that he's carrying a bit of an ankle problem. Can you give an update on what's going on there?
Yeah, look, we wanted to give Mark a chance. We wanted to give an opportunity in the Lions game. He obviously hasn't played. Well, I know most of us haven't played competitive cricket since the start of the year, February, March, but he obviously went through that rehab period even throughout the sort of start of when we got back out of training. But, he had such a good year for us last year that we felt we needed to give him an opportunity to prove himself. He's still not where we want him to be. I think it's fair to say, and he'd agree with that. So there's still work to be done in terms of his kind of back to where we want him. So that was the kind of call, I think, in the end of it, to go with Curtis. Look, Murtaghs is a cricketer who's going to be in the mix for us for the next 8 or 9 years. So he's someone we need to make sure that we get fit and firing. But just at the moment, this game's probably come just a bit early for him, I would have thought.
Will he play any part in this series, do you think?
It's hard to say. Like, the beauty of this, is we've got everyone here. So if there are injuries, or if we announce a new squad for the second ODI or third ODI, he may come into it. It's hard to say. At the moment, Curtis is sort of that bowling all-rounder that we have in the squad. So he may get the opportunity come Thursday, but I won't rule Mark out. I won't say he's not going to play, but at the moment he's not really in our plans, particularly for this first game.
And just one last one from me. Yesterday, the new ICC Super League came under some criticism. What are your thoughts on it? And do you think that Ireland can qualify through the main group, or do you think that the qualifying tournament is a more likely option?
Yeah, I suppose first and foremost, I'm not a fan of the 10-team World Cup as a start, but you got to play the hand you're dealt, and the way to get into this next World Cup is first and foremost look to qualify in this league. It's going to be super tough. It's no doubt about it. We're going to have to play really good cricket consistently, and we're going to need some big performances consistently. So it'll be a big ask, and qualifying automatically will probably be the greatest achievement by an Irish cricket team, in my opinion. And just the demand of it now that the fixtures are probably going to be backlogged, and they're going to be every couple of months you're going to be in high pressure situations, and playing against the best teams in the world. But we're going to strive to get into that top 7 or 8. I think it's 7 maybe, including the host team. And if that doesn't happen, then we replan and we go for the qualifiers. I've been through a qualifying process. It was certainly a low point, not qualifying for that World Cup, but I've no doubt that come 2023, if we put in and do our utmost, we'll be at the World Cup one way or the other.
Thank you. Ian.
Hi, Balbo.
Hey, Ian.
Just quickly from me, Curtis Campbell, maybe you could tell us a bit more about him. What does he offer? Literally, have you only seen him literally 6 weeks ago, as you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, I had a close eye. I obviously played against him when we were in Pretoria in 2018 prior to the qualifiers. He actually got me out, so good start. But no, look, I've been very impressed with his attitude. He's come straight to the squad, and it's not easy. Look, I can understand people wondering, how is this guy who we haven't seen play, but I've seen enough of him in that 6 weeks to understand what he's about, and he's certainly someone that's tested me every time I face him in the nets, and he seems to be up for that battle. It's not been easy for him coming over and having no games of cricket to showcase his skills and show the people and the supporters of Ireland what he can do and what he can offer. So, myself and 40 and a couple of the senior players have just been really impressed with his work ethic and his skills with the ball. So if he does get an opportunity on Thursday, I have no doubt he'll relish the challenge.
Okay, thanks.
John.
Hi, Andy. John Kenny.
Hi, John.
How you doing, mate? How have you settled in there? I know I've asked you a couple of times about that pitch, and you've played on it a couple of times as well. What do you make to it?
Yeah, well, I can actually, if I just have a peek out my window, it's currently looking a bit green, but we're obviously 2 days out. The wicket for the Lions game was a bit slow and potentially maybe got a bit easier under the lights, skidded on a bit nicer. But so the 2 games we have played out there, the wickets have been slow, but whether they leave a bit more grass in it for Thursday, because naturally they probably will, because I think we're using this wicket for the first and second ODIs. So I expect it to be a decent cricket wicket, something in it if you hit your lengths, but also if you get in, you get your rewards. And it's a big enough ground, square wise it's very big, so historically there hasn't been too many high scores, I don't think, from what I've seen in I say high scores, there's about 300 from what I've seen from domestic cricket. So it's a beautiful ground though, it really is. I've got a view from my balcony out to the ground, so I get to see it in all its glory. But I expect it to be a good wicket no matter what happens on Thursday.
And in terms of the squad then, I know you mentioned concerns about the bowlers. What have you done to rectify that after the Lions game? Obviously you have concerns there.
Yeah, look, it's there's no room for error and there's no hiding place in this sort of cricket. We're playing against the best team in the world, and they've got some of the best hitters in the world that are exposed to these T20 leagues all around the globe. So we've got to be very tight in what we do. You know, we don't have the fastest bowlers in the world, but what we've got to try to be is as accurate as possible in our plans and our lengths, and make sure that, you know, they're hitting us off our good lengths rather than, you know, them hitting our bad balls consistently. So yeah, there is stuff to work on. Certainly, there's always stuff to work on, even from a batting point of view. But I suppose getting closer to the ODI, you don't want to fill the bowlers' heads with too much information. You just want to back them and back them to do their job on the day, and their skill set will be good enough.
Yeah, and in terms of England, then have you had a chance to chat with them or to Owen Morgan?
Yeah, we're actually not allowed to mingle with England. It's part of the kind of protocols here in the bubble. We might pass them on the outfield walking to training, but in terms of in the hotel, there's been no contact with them at all. I spoke to Owen briefly at the toss for the other game in the Lions, but no, it's very much kind of you stay on your floor and we'll stay on our floor.
Yeah, and have you found all that? That's a very surreal way of approaching an international cricket series.
Yeah, it is. It is, but I suppose we didn't have this about a month or two ago. So if they say this is how it's going to be, you don't even question it. You don't argue. You just get on with it, and you kind of grow accustomed to it. You kind of get into the habits of everything that you have to do here, and it's absolutely fine. I mean, it really is. There's no complaints for us. You know, the odd time you might go down to breakfast without a face mask by accident, and you just get a bit of a gentle reminder. But I mean, you do get used to it like anything, I suppose.
All right,
Bernard.
Just, I suppose, again, it's 3 games, but obviously this is a building process as well, Andrew. It's obviously very important to come out the right side of it. That's the crucial thing, and to win the 3-game series. But obviously, it's very important as a building process for the future. You spoke about the World Cup and the kind of qualification machinations that are going to be down along the line as well.
Yeah, spot on. Like you've got to find a balance. Of course, you want to win the games, and everyone who plays or is in the squad, you want to win the games. But you have to find a balance of also making sure that your next players and your next generation are getting opportunities, because 2 or 3 years down the line, and we're playing a game that decides whether we qualify for a World Cup. At least we know that we've got 3 or 4 of the guys who are here in Southampton or wherever it is, so they have that experience. So you obviously don't want to just change the whole setup and get 7 or 8 young guys in. They have to sort of earn their stripes at the same time, but at the you have to give them that exposure at some point. And I know myself, having gone through a similar process, the 2015 World Cup was my sort of introduction to it, and I took to it really well. And I'm hoping that some of the guys already have done that. So come 2023, whether we're in the World Cup or whether we have to go through a qualifying process, that we have guys who are in their sort of early to mid 20s that have bagged some experience in these ODI World Cricket Leagues.
Brendan from the Irish Examiner.
Hi Andy, how's it going?
Hi Brendan.
It's obviously a different format, Andy, but how have you seen the England West Indies game in terms of those guys playing their first cricket in maybe 4 months? So in other words, how do you think the quality has been? Because we've seen a lot of different sports start now, and sometimes we've seen snooker players, rugby players looking a bit rusty or whatever.
Yeah, I think the quality's been pretty good, to be honest. England have so many world-class players at their available. So they've obviously got 2 separate squads. They've got their test squad, and then they've got the squad down here in Southampton. Someone like Ben Stokes, for instance, doesn't need, he obviously doesn't need a couple of test matches to get going. He's just straight into it, and that's probably the difference in those world-class players, is that once competition comes, they're ready to step into the shoes and get cracking and put in high-quality performances. So that's part of the job that I wanted to get through to the guys leading up to the first game, is that albeit we haven't played a lot of cricket leading into the series, we've got to make sure that our nets are as competitive as possible, and we're getting the best out of each other in that net environment, rather than when usually you get it in your inter-pro cricket or your inter-pro cricket or your inter-squad games. So it's important that you know, the guys go into that first ODI haven't got that competitive edge behind them in training.
And how aware are you that you guys will be the first Irish team back on the sporting international stage after the pandemic?
Yeah, look, I'm certainly aware of it. I think it's a huge sort of privilege and an opportunity for us. I've said it to the lads that, you know, albeit we haven't had any home internationals this year, which is usually how you introduce cricket as such to young kids. And, you know, young kids come out and watch you and they want to emulate you. But, you know, we've got a chance. We've got 3 opportunities to inspire a generation of young cricketers in Ireland to watch us on the telly and see, wow, these guys are playing the world champions. I want to be just like them. So it's important that we realise that, but also at the same time, make sure that we put in a performance that does that justice. And yeah, look, it's great. You know, it's a credit to the ECB and Cricket Ireland and all the healthcare workers who've managed to get us on the park playing. And we just got to make sure that we take our opportunity and do our bit for this amazing opportunity.
Just finally, for me, there's been a lot made of the bio bubble and how you guys cope with it. Are these days, the last couple of days before the first game, are these the hardest to endure?
The hardest for me is the day before. That's certainly when the nerves kick in and you start really thinking about the game and the 11 and, you know, the conditions. And so the day before, the 2 days out, which we are now, I kind of a bit more relaxed. I like getting around the guys and chatting to them. We've got ping pong table there, you know, PlayStation, darts board. But even yesterday we had a day off, so, you know, I played a bit of golf, even though a few of my drives probably exited the bubble at some point. But it's certainly nice to get out and about and walk a course with a couple of people that maybe you wouldn't spend as much time with normally, and just chat to them about how they're getting on. Because I personally am dealing with this fine, but other people might be struggling with it. So it's important that in a discreet way, you just make sure you get around the guys and make sure everyone's in a good headspace.
Bobby.
Andrew, how are you? Just on the 14 there, we're showing 5 seamers and 3, possibly even 4 if you count Paul Sterling, spinners. Would you have any idea on your preferred combination of bowling?
That's a good question. Not really at this moment. I think I'll probably, like I said, I'll sit down. I have a fair idea of what I want to do, but I'll probably sit down with the head coach tomorrow and just kind of go over it and see what our possible options are. A lot depends on the conditions and like you said, the makeup of our team, whether we want to go for, you know, 3 seamers and an or 2 seamers and a bowling all rounder, or 3 seamers and, you know, one of our spinners as the all rounder. There's a couple of things we could do, but I certainly don't want to be kind of rushing into anything like that. I can consult with Graham and Paul and just chat about potentially where we can expose them and what our best sort of mix is.
Yeah, I think actually when looking at them and well, Curtis did pretty well in Namibia for the Wolves, and the Simi can do an all-rounder job as well. I mean, if all came to all, you'd probably get 2 overs out of Kevin. But so I think there's probably enough opportunity to shift bowlers around, and it's just, I suppose, a lot will depend on the wicket and on the day and whatever. But I think it's an interesting and quite a strong position you find ourselves in, particularly since certainly the top 5 batted so well the other day against the Lions.
Yeah, and look, there's like I said earlier, there's players in the wings that can easily come in and it wouldn't really change it all that much. That we've got a talented pool here who can certainly do a job for us, and that's what you want. We want to have as many cricketers as we can putting in performances. Ideally, we have a full summer of cricket behind us and people have put in performances to back up selection and stuff like that, but we don't. So we've got to kind of go with our gut, if you like, and on what we've seen in nets and in the inter-squad games, like who's in form at this moment, because unfortunately that's just what we're dealing with. So yeah, look, I think it's a strong 14 and there's a lot of combinations that could work, but it's kind of just finding that balance so that, you know, I'm comfortable with what I have going out in the park on Thursday.
John.
No, I'm good. I'm
good. Put your hand down again.
Sorry, Matt.
You're right. Brendan.
All good.
Oh, got your hand up there. Ollie, what about you?
Sorry, just me again. Harry Tector, how impressed have you been by him over the last week and a half? How's he approached this series?
Yeah, he's been very impressive. I think anyone who's met him, he's a very down to earth guy, but he's a very cricket intelligent guy, and he's someone that is going to be in this Irish team for a lot of years to come. I think he's got the world at his feet, if you like. He can play all sorts of shots all around the ground, but he's also got that nous to know when he needs to dig in and bat properly, if you like. So he's certainly exciting. He gives us an extra edge in the field as well. So yeah, look, he's a very exciting prospect, and it's he's only 20 or 21, I'm not sure, but it's hard to believe that he hasn't even played an ODI the way he's carrying on in the nets and around the group. So he's certainly he's got a big future ahead of him, no doubt.
And looking at the England squad that was released yesterday, there's a few World Cup winners in there. There's a few names that maybe aren't as well known to people in Irish cricketing circles. What is your assessment of the squad?
Yeah, look, it's a strong squad. I mean, any England ODI squad that is put out these days is going to be strong, and I think the way that Owen Morgan has transformed that ODI squad is it's had a filter down into county cricket, and people understand that if they need to get into the England squad, they have to be putting in huge performances, and they've seen that, and players have come in and managed to put in those performances. So look, it's a World Cup winning squad, albeit it's not the same squad, but they have players in there who were very, very consistent for them throughout that World Cup. So look, we're going to have to be at our very best to beat these guys, no doubt. Talent-wise, they're far more talented, but my job is to make sure that when we go over that line, that we give everything we have and compete as hard as we can, and hopefully put in some good performances, because they're a world-class outfit, and we will be up against it, but they're the challenges I love as a batter, but as a captain as well. I love seeing the guys and how they react, particularly the young guys, how they come in and react to that sort of environment.
We're going to have some fan questions in a second. Are there any last questions from journalists before I move on to that? No? Okay, the first fan question comes in from at Vivek on Twitter. Do you still keep wickets? I read somewhere that you did in the past.
No, that is the short answer to that. No, I kept wicket for a season and a half and threatened to do it properly, but my hips told me absolutely don't ever do this again. So no, that is a firm no.
Very good. Via Twitter, at Alan Mag asks, do you feel the team has more confidence going into the series than they've done in previous years, coming off the back of an impressive display against the West Indies in January?
Yeah, look, January was a long time ago, but it's a similar enough group that ran them close in the second ODI. The first and third ODI we weren't good enough and we didn't show up. So the second ODI definitely, if we had won that, it would have been a great achievement, but we didn't. Still lost 3-0. But certainly it showed that if we did turn up and compete and put in performances, that we could beat some of the top teams in the world. We're going to have to go up a level again, I think, in this series from what the squad England have and the talent pool that they have. So there is confidence. That the guys are a confident bunch. Like I remember when I first came into the group as a 20-year-old, 21-year-old, that I wouldn't say anything. I would just sit my own and just kind of take it all in and enjoy being around the guys. But the guys coming into the group now are not shy, and it's great. It's refreshing to see that, and they're showing that on the pitch when they get out and play as well.
Which leads on to the next question, which is via Larry the Leprechaun on Twitter. He says, it's now over 10 years since you made your Irish debut against Scotland. What do you think has changed in ODI cricket in that time within the Irish setup and the broadly internationally?
Well, I've started getting runs, which was probably the main difference from then. That's a tough one. Back then it was certainly, you had your sort of main group of players, your sort of county cricketers who played for us, Porty, Joycey, Mertz, Sterlo, Kev, Nobby, these guys. And then you had the kind of guys who were trying to break into that side. At the moment, like I said, we've got 19, 20 cricketers here 21, I think, who could easily play. So there is that sort of more of a, and everyone's sort of based in Dublin or Belfast or Derry. So you have that more sort of everyone available on your doorstep and training together. Whereas before it would have been, you know, not many people in the country being able to train and have that high competitive training session. So that's probably the main thing, is not having the guys coming from abroad just in from the games, coming from county cricket into the games. You have now everyone in Ireland, and I think that actually makes the standard, well, obviously of inter-pro cricket better, but also of training.
Larry also cheekily asks, how do you think Tim Murtaghs has handled his transition to American politics in the last few months since retirement? But you've got to understand that.
Yeah, no, it's certainly given me a laugh over the last couple of months, but yeah, Mertz is unique, and it wouldn't surprise me if he got into the US politics.
Second last one via League of Ireland. As a captain now, do you do much differently on match day, and how important is the role of captain in international cricket?
Match day, I try not to do too much different, because first and foremost I need to score runs. That, you know, I'm a batsman at the end of the day, and that's my trade. And if I'm not scoring runs, then, you know, I won't have deserved a place. So that's something I've always kind of been keen to do once I got the captaincy, was make sure that I'm the best batter I can be and lead the guys from the front with the bat. It's tough. Like, I've only done 9 games of international cricket as captain. So it's, you know, I'm still very new to it, but I love it. I really enjoy it. I enjoy the relationship I have with Graham. He's one of the best I've ever worked with as a player, but also as a captain. And yeah, I'm just really enjoying the challenge. I'm enjoying watching people get better. I think it's the most satisfying thing, is watching guys put into practice what they do in training out in the middle, and that's very satisfying. Yeah.
And last one via Instagram, Joe Cassidy 8 asks, at the end of the current FTP cycle in 2023, what will success look like for the national team across all formats?
I suppose success will have been, we've qualified, I know we'll qualify for next year's T20, but the following 2 ICC events, so the 2022 T20 World Cup and the 2023 50-over World Cup, I think if we qualify for both of those on top of the next year rescheduled World Cup, I think I can look back and say that was a successful 3 or 4 years. I suppose another point of it is producing cricketers that can compete and play for Ireland, and bringing young players through and giving them that opportunity to showcase their skills. That's a huge part of what I want to try to do as well, is give them that freedom and sort of the no fear approach to international cricket that maybe I didn't have when I was first into the side. So I think success, you know, Test cricket we're probably not going to play a lot of Test cricket over that space of time, but I think certainly qualification for both the 2022 and 2023 ICC events.
Very good. That's it for fan questions. Any last questions from journalists who've gathered? No hands have gone up. So thank you very much for attending today's press conference. Thank you to Andrew for participating. We look forward to a great game on Thursday, and we're all backing green, I'm sure. Thanks.
Thanks very much. Thanks a lot. Best of luck.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers, Craig.
Thanks, Ollie.
Thanks, Craig. Cheerio. Bye.
Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Craig. That was a great job.
Cheers.